One, I got a big announcement. I got a new notebook. And look at it. Look at it.
Hang on. This is the old one.
The back of it's literally coming off.
She's lived a lot of life too.
And it says happy notes, and I thought that was very ironic to write about people dying in there. Like, that, yeah. But this is the first video in 2 weeks that we are recording for the first time, so hopefully the SD card does not corrupt. And this video is the most haunted places in Missouri, brought to you by my friend Chris. He suggested this because I don't know how to make decisions for myself. And I was like, I don't know what state to do next. And so I texted him and I said, pick a state that's not Illinois, because I've already done Illinois. And he was like, okay, Missouri. And I was like, thanks. So now that you're watching this, Chris, you know what it's for. We got the new notebook. This is gonna be a good video. This is gonna be a good one.
Family.
Most haunted places in Missouri. I almost said cemeteries. I was like, wait, this is not that video.
Most haunted places.
And we're going to start off with the Missouri State Penitentiary. Am I saying penitentiary right?
I don't know.
The first one is the Missouri State Penitentiary. Opened in 1836, the Missouri State Penitentiary has seen a tragic history of death, violence, and misery. The building sits along the banks of the Missouri River in Jefferson City. For 168 years, this penitentiary housed prisoners and was the oldest continually operating prison west of the Mississippi until it was decommissioned in 2004. It has gained a reputation of being one of the most haunted locations in America. From notorious inmates to the 1954 riot, this place has much history. Even Time magazine has dubbed it the bloodiest 47 acres in America. Some big names in history have been incarcerated in this building. A former Union general, the first train robber, 1930s gangsters, and the assassin that killed Martin Luther King Jr. have been housed here. In September of 1937, the Missouri governor signed a bill calling for execution by lethal gas, meaning public hangings were coming to an end. The bill was originally for the electric chair, but in the end it had been changed to a gas chamber. Between 1937 and 1989, 40 inmates were put to death in this gas chamber.
Okay, when the riot came up in the evening, right after supper time of September 22nd, 1954 there, and it was easy to kick it off because almost all the prisoners throughout the entire prison system was very unhappy about the brutality and about the food and about the lack of medication attention there for quite some time.
On Wednesday evening of September 22nd, around 6:30 p.m., 2 inmates faked illness to attract the attention of 2 guards. Once the guards entered the hall, they were overpowered and their keys were stolen. One of the guards had been severely beaten. The 2 prisoners ran out of their cells, and as they ran down the hall, they would release the other inmates. A large group of inmates were then running loose and emptying cell blocks as they went. One group went into the dining hall and smashed windows. Inside the prison shops, anything flammable was set on fire. By midnight, highway patrol troopers, Kansas City and St. Louis police, the National Guard, and local police had the prison surrounded. Several hundred inmates were running loose, throwing bricks and chunks of concrete at the warden's office. 4 buildings were fully engulfed in flames, with more fires starting. At this point, 2,500 rioters were running around inside the walls of the prison. That is a lot. One inmate in solitary confinement was tortured and murdered by other prisoners. Throughout the night, police tried to prevent a mass breakout. And then one of the guards said, as waves of rioters stormed the deputy warden's office, armed troopers on the roof were finally forced to open fire with machine guns and riot guns to force the desperate prisoners to flee the prison yard. Several convicts were injured by gunfire. With that, officers were finally able to gain control of the riot. 4 inmates had been killed, 50 injured, and 1 attempted suicide. 4 officers had been injured. No prisoner was successful in escaping the prison.
That's crazy.
With 2,500 rioters and not one escaped, they did a damn good job. You would feel like at least one would get out, but they had that place
That's
on
crazy.
lock. With all of that dark history, there is sure to be some paranormal activity going around.
Seriously?
Many believe the restless spirits of former inmates and guards are still there, haunting the area where they spent their final moments on Earth. From figures seen roaming the halls, disembodied voices coming from the cell blocks, to odd, unexplainable encounters with the other world, the Missouri State Penitentiary has a hotbed of activity within its walls.
I feel like most old prisons have to be haunted because so much stuff happens in there.
Like, there's so much history, and you know, when you die tragically and unexpectedly, like your soul just...
That happens.
And I would love to get to go there. And as you know, we went to Joliet last month. If you haven't seen that video and want to check it out, you can do that. We got stalked. That was great, by a human, not a ghost. But
Yeah. I prefer a ghost.
yeah. So maybe we'll get a ghost at the Missouri State Penitentiary.
Okay, the next one is the Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery. Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery is an American military cemetery in St. Louis County. Located on the banks of the Mississippi River, the cemetery was established after the Civil War in an attempt to put together a formal network of military cemeteries. In 1826, it started as the Barracks Military Post Cemetery until 1866, when it became a United States National Cemetery. The first known burial was Elizabeth Ann Lash, the infant child of an officer stationed at the Jefferson Barracks. This cemetery is said to have the spirit of a little girl who wanders among the headstones. Other spirits seen in the cemetery is one that is clothed as a Confederate soldier, and another is wearing a Buffalo Soldier uniform. It is said they will appear at sundown, acknowledge each other, and then vanish again. The Jefferson Barracks, an active military site, adjoins the cemetery, and that is where most of the activity happens, mainly centered around the post headquarters. A local soldier noticed a light turn on in one of the rooms. He went to the window to check it out. Looking through the window, he saw a military officer in 19th century dress, sitting at a desk, writing by candlelight, and then he got up and vanished into thin air.
I feel like that's also a place that could have a lot of paranormal activity going on. And also it could be that little girl, the first burial in there, that's what I was going to bring up. She died as an infant, but they say that there's a little girl roaming around. So can an infant take the shape of like a little girl? Or like when you die at that age, are you going to stay that age? Or can you look different? Like if I died at 26, am I still going to look like this, or am I going to look different? Like, do ghosts age? Who the hell knows? So like, could it be her?
I don't know.
It made me spiral when I was thinking about it, because I was like, is that possible? I need to know. And then with the paranormal, it's like you don't know the answers, and I'm a person who I'm on a need to know basis. The next one is Zombie Road. Outside St. Louis sits Zombie Road. The official name of the road is Lawler Ford Road, but many know it as Zombie Road and have referred to it as that since the 1950s. What makes this road so haunted? Some say it's haunted by angry shadow figures, some say it's the location of a serial killer zombie, and some say it's the site of an ancient curse. So it could really be anything. Located near the Merrimack River, this road was created to be an access point to the river. In 2010, the road was paved and renamed Rock Hollow Trail and is now a bike path tucked away among hills and tall, looming trees. So the road isn't exactly a road. Allegedly, the 3.6-mile-long Zombie Road runs straight over an ancient Indian burial ground. Hikers have reported feeling as if they're constantly being watched and have heard unexplainable noises along the road. There have been some sightings of a mysterious old woman yelling at people passing by, then disappearing when they try to investigate. Some believe it could be the spirit of Della Hamilton, McCullough, the wife of a local judge who died in 1876 when she was hit by a train. If you're there at night, it is said you'll be chased by restless Indian spirits or the souls of railroad workers who tragically lost their lives in accidents. The story of how it became known as Zombie Road goes like this. Back in the 1950s, this road was a popular place for teens to go make out. Around the same time period, an insane man from a nearby mental hospital escaped and disappeared somewhere along the road. He found a worn-down shack and moved into it. He would sometimes sneak out at night and murder the teenagers. For the rest of his days, he lived in the shack happily until he died as an old man. It is said he continues to haunt the area to continue the murdering of teenagers. From Indian spirits to serial killer zombies, this road has a lot going on.
Interesting.
I don't know what the scariest part of that would be. A serial killer zombie dude who's mentally insane. The fact that it could be on an ancient Indian burial ground, that is absolutely
not
terrifying.
where you want to be.
Absolutely not. Like, I think that might be the scariest part, because you don't fuck with the Native Americans. You do not fuck with the Native Americans.
Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. The next one is the Exorcist House. This house in St. Louis has gained the nickname the Exorcist House because of one of the most famous exorcisms in history took place right inside the house. The case was known as the Roland Doe exorcism. Roland was born into a German Lutheran Christian family in Maryland. He was an only child and relied on the adults in the house for entertainment. His Aunt Harriet, who was a spiritualist, was whom he looked to the most to play with. She introduced Roland to Ouija boards. Great idea. And he showed an interest in them. When he was 13, his aunt died and it left him devastated. It is said he tried to contact his aunt through a Ouija board, which led him to getting possessed by a demonic entity. Paranormal activity soon began and later became extreme in the house. Allegedly, some of the bruising on his chest from the attacks spelled out Louis, which led his family to believe he should go stay with relatives in St. Louis. I guess. Over several weeks, 30 exorcism rituals were performed. After this, the family was no longer having troubles and moved back to their home. The boy went on to live a successful, happy life. Though the demons left the boy and his family alone, they might not have left the house alone. Some believe the house where he stayed is still haunted and plagued by the depression.
This is what The Exorcist is based off of. I don't know if you know that. Like, the movie is actually based off of this case.
I've never seen the movie.
You've never seen The Exorcist?
No.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
My dad went to go and see it in the theaters when it came out, and he left during the movie. He got so scared. My dad cannot do horror.
He said, I'm out of here. She can't either.
No, I can't do, like, the gory, but give me scary all you want.
Bloody doesn't bother me.
Bloody Mary. The last one is the Bey Mansion. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Beatty. It's B-A-T-T-I-E, so I think it's Beatty. I don't think it's Betty. In 1854, Armstrong and Eliza Beatty built this mansion. The couple lived there until they died in 1878 and 1880. They never had children, so once they passed, the mansion was transferred to the Ladies' Union and Benevolence Association. For 100 years, the building was used to look after the elderly, homeless, and the people society didn't want around. After that, it was used as a group home for the mentally ill and substance abusers. In 2004, when the current owners took over the house, they started doing some renovations. That seemed to have ramped up activity. There were many attempts to renovate the mansion, and during these attempts, contractors would claim to see things or have unexplainable experiences. Some even refused to return to the job because whatever experience they had scared them so bad. The most common experiences to happen in the mansion have been disembodied voices, seeing shadow figures, and occasionally even full-bodied apparitions. It is said that Eliza herself is the most active spirit, most often seen lurking on the second floor. She isn't very fond of men. Armstrong's spirit is also said to be roaming around, often accompanied by a whistling sound. On the second floor, in one of the rooms off the hallway, there have been many experiences with the ghost of a child laughing and yelling. In the kitchen area, people have seen waist-high shadow figures and a tall man who likes to walk through the kitchen. These spirits pretty much all have good intentions and seem quite harmless, except for in the basement where there is a dark male entity residing down there. He's been seen charging through the basement and likes to taunt guests with a maniacal laugh. There is also a man in a white shirt who likes to look out of the basement window into the parking lot. It's so crazy to me that, like, spirits still think that's their home. And when you renovate something, you're renovating what they think is theirs. So then it's crazy how just simple renovations can make activity more prominent.
They're like, ooh, this is nice.
Unless they don't like it and they're like, what the fuck are you doing to my house?
Stop it.
Knock it off. But that was the Missouri Urban Legends. The most haunted places in Missouri. If you want to see us do a part 2, let us know. If there's a place that you want us to talk about, let us know and we will. And like always, comment the next state down below so we don't have to make that decision. Tally ho!
Tally ho!
Bye!
Bye!